honour for me to address our future leaders in science, our future leaders in medicine, our future leaders of this country. That's you. I'd also like to thank everyone for attending. I know that the weather has been fantastic, so I'm very humbled that everyone's actually come along this evening to hear us here and listen about the future of what the Science Society, Science Student Society can be and can become. Remember that they're here not for themselves, they're here for every single one of you. To encourage you, to motivate you, to hear your concerns, to hear your worries, so that we can create the best possible school of science, not just in UKG, but across the entire nation. Welcome to a future of PhD leaders, not just in science, but all disciplines. I'd just like to touch on what the President said earlier about being on time. Discipline is very important. Very, very important for your future careers. There is no such thing as PhD time. If you are late for your employer, you will have no job. If you are late for an aircraft flying out of Jackson Airport, guess what? The airplane doesn't wait for you. The airplane will go. And that's the same about life. If you are late, life will not wait. Life will carry on. So your own discipline, being on time, showing your employers, your future employers, that you care about your job, you're committed to your job, will give you a very solid future. There's no such thing as PhD time. So I would encourage you all to be in time. I have a new policy with my leadership team. I have a leadership team of 17 people across the university. We have regular meetings. We have meetings every 2 weeks to talk about the issues that are happening across the university. That meeting starts, and every meeting I attend starts 5 minutes after the starting time. So if a meeting starts at 9:30, the meeting starts at 9:35, no later. If you're late for a meeting, you lock the door. You don't get in. Discipline is very important. And some of our leadership are learning to their cost that if they're not in time, they lock the doors, come back next time. You've lost your opportunity. So I would urge you all to be on time for events. Life will not wait for you. You have to be on time. So I'd just like to spend a few moments just talking about my ministry. I'm very, very proud to be your Vice Chancellor. I've been here since August, just a few months. I arrived here and I was thrown straight into independence celebrations. 50 years of independence. What happened next? Christmas. The university basically closes down for December and January. And we're only in March. So I've really only been here a few months. My background as a scientist, you're all scientists. My background as a scientist. I did a Bachelor of Science at Glasgow University a long time ago, 1987. I then moved to London, and I realised wanted to do a PhD. I didn't have opportunities in London, so I moved up to Leeds, and I did my PhD in Leeds. My PhD was the identification of single cells. I was very lucky that that was an emerging science. I was the first person in the world to DNA fingerprint, forensically DNA fingerprint a single cell. So when you watch your crime programs, your CSI, your NCIS, all your crime programs, and they talk about DNA fingerprinting of hair, or dandruff, or touch DNA, I invented that. So what that means is that if I can do it, so can you. The world has so many opportunities. You have to find your field, you have to find your niche. Be committed to science. Science has so many opportunities. I've traveled all over the world because of science. Science has given you those opportunities. And science will also give you those opportunities. But you have to be committed. You have to be committed to success. Yes, of course, a lot of that luck comes in, but you have to be committed to success. If you're committed, success will come. So I did my PhD in Leeds, met my wife in Leeds, moved to Australia, realised that there was a sun in the sky and the sky was blue rather than all the rain that we have in the UK. And then I immigrated to Australia in 1999. Moved into higher education. I was a research scientist. I published in all of the top journals, clinical chemistry, published in Nature, got major NHMRC, MRC, ARC grants. The success rate for those grants is about 8%. So less than 1 in 10 people who apply for those grants will get a grant. And I had 2 grants. The only person in the entire University of Leeds to have 2 competitive grants, NHMRC grants. Because I worked, I was committed to my science. You have to be as well. So then I moved to Australia, started again. I developed the only independent forensic, only the second independent forensic lab in the whole of Asia. Then I retired. I retired at 40 because I had a young son. And I wanted to spend time with my young son. He was 4 years old. And I wanted to spend time with him before we went to school. So by the time he was 4, by the time he was 6, we had to go into years. And then he went to school when he was 6. And then I thought, what do I do with myself? I had a career as a world-leading scientist. I got Scientist of the Year, the European Journal of Human Genetics. I got the Bancroft Award, which is the highest award awarded by the Australian Medical Society. I was the recipient. So I had a number of awards. Published in every newspaper, published in major health journals. Nature, Clinical Chemistry, BMJ, The Lancet. And I wanted to go back, I wanted to contribute that. But I realised that my biggest contribution is not just being an individual scientist. Yes, I can help hundreds of people a year. I developed brand new forensic techniques. First person in the world to do that. I developed brand new diagnostic techniques, multiplex fluorescent PCR and single cells. First person in the world. But I knew that I could only help hundreds of people a year. What's next for me? When I was 42, I decided to go back into the workforce. And I wanted to help more than just a few hundred people at the game. I wanted to help thousands. So that's why I'm doing this education. Because education can touch thousands of people. Education can motivate and inspire thousands and thousands of people. And each of those people can inspire further thousands and thousands of people. That's why I'm doing education. So I became Dean of Science, Head of Students, Head of Studies, and one of Australia's largest universities, one of Australia's largest tech sectors, 40,000 students. I was a professor at 57, one of the youngest professors at a university. I've worked at the University of Queensland, the University of Griffith University, the University of Sunshine Coast, Central Queensland University. So that was my career in Australia. Also very successful in the teaching field. I was Dean of Sciences, I was Pro-Vice Chancellor in Learning and Teaching, Central Queensland University. And then I reached retirement again. And I'm sitting very nicely retired in Brisbane. And then I got an email out of the blue from a US recruiting company saying that they're looking for a Vice Chancellor for a university in Cambodia. And they're looking for someone with a science background. I got 30 years in science, published in all the journals, written research grants. I've got research and a background in health. They want somebody with a background in research. Yep, I've done research and published more than 50 papers. They want someone with a background in learning and teaching. Yep, I was Co-Vice Chancellor of Learning and Teaching and introduced flipped learning and innovative learning and teaching techniques. They were looking for someone with a background in finance. I had done my own company, my own forensic company. So I knew my way around the balance sheets, and P&Ls, and depreciation schedules, accounting manuals, accounting standards. They were also looking for someone with a sense of adventure. So I thought, yeah, this is me, this is me, this is me, this is me. Hang on a second, this is me. So I went to Cambodia. The university was bankrupt. The university buildings were collapsing. There was no academic board. There was no financial system. There was no online learning. There was basically nothing. There were student riots. There were staff riots because the university was just about to go under. And I said to that university, within 3 years, this broken university is going to be the top university in Cambodia. Cambodia has 126 universities. 126. Within 3 years, this broken, bankrupt university was the top university in the whole of Cambodia. I then said, that's not good enough. This university will be one of the top universities in the whole of Southeast Asia. Everybody laughed. You're telling me that a small, broken university in a developing, poor country, Cambodia is, if you think you're poor here, go to Cambodia. Cambodia is even poorer. In a very underdeveloped country. So how can you take a small university in an underdeveloped, developing country, very, very poor country, and make it one of the best in Southeast Asia? You're crazy. Everybody laughed at me. Within a further 3 years, that university, top 8 in Asia, top 8 in Southeast Asia. I know we went first because somebody else got the prize, but we could have been second, we could have been 8th. Well, no, but we were top 8 in Southeast Asia. And I want to take the lessons that I learned in Cambodia and bring them to UPNG and make UPNG not just the best university in PNG. I want to make UPNG the Harvard of the entire Pacific. But Rome wasn't built in a day. So please work with me. Please have some patience. I think you have all seen the initiatives, the changes that we have already brought in to UPNG in just a few months. I'm delighted to tell you, if you don't know already, that February 2026 was the safest month ever at UPNG. We introduced CCTV cameras, we introduced increased security at entrance, we've introduced biometric identification at accommodation. In February 2026 was the safest month on the UPNG campus ever in UPNG's 65 years of history. So, as you talk about safety, no point having fantastic buildings, no point having fantastic staff if you don't feel safe. My job is to make everyone feel safe. Every single student, every single staff member must feel safe. So we have the safest month ever recorded in the history of the UPNG. And that's in just a few months. Just imagine what else we can do together. I would like to make what's nice to go talked about accreditation. There's actually two separate things. There's accreditation and recognition. International accreditation and international recognition. They're actually two quite separate things. But the principle is the same. When you have a UPNG degree, that doesn't mean that you work within PNG. That is your golden ticket to be able to work in Australia, to work in Asia, to work all over the world. And we have to work towards that. We have to make sure that anyone across the world looks at your degree and says, wow, are you really a graduate of UPNG? Are you really a graduate of Cambridge or Oxford or Harvard, Caltech? That's the standard we have to reach. Wow. You don't just have an ordinary degree. You have a degree from UPNG. So we have to get that accreditation and recognition from across the world. In some ways, it's relatively easy because as soon as you get recognition and accreditation for one Western country, you get it for everybody. If you have recognition and accreditation in Australia, your degree is recognised all over the world. So we're looking to Australia to give us that accreditation and recognition. We've already made steps to do that. And I'm delighted also, just in a few months, to let you know that we have already signed, I've already signed a memorandum of understanding with Queensland University of Technology. UT is one of Australia's largest universities. It's based in Brisbane, Australia. And for the first time ever, UPNG content will be recognised in an Australian degree. What that means, instead of the existing model, if you want a Western degree, you have to go to Australia for 3 years, 4 years, or you can get international content to one university in PNG. We're moving away from that model. So for the first time ever in PNG, students can study 2 years at UPNG and then study 2 years at QUT or Australian universities. First time ever. It's the first time ever that an Australian university has recognised the quality of any PNG university. First time ever. And this opens up not just QUT, but this opens up the whole of Australia to UPNG students. Our MOU with QUT is a first. We're already in discussions with other Australian universities, ANU, JCU, to make sure that we can offer a wide range of programs for all of our UPNG students. So, again, just in a few months, we have some firsts. First, safest campus ever in UPNG's history. Second, our MOU to allow UPNG students to go directly into second year of an Australian degree. This has huge advantages because it prepares PNG students for the rigours of university and the rigours of an international university, rather than going there and failing because you're not ready. It also makes sure that students have the required English level, and the required maths level, and the required science level to succeed at Australian universities. Those students, our first students are planned to go January 2027. So this isn't years and years ahead. January 2027, our students will go. Those students will graduate with 2 degrees, an Australian degree and a UPNG degree. We start with business, a business degree, because that's the easiest to map across. Future years, we're going to expand IT, science, humanities, and ultimately try to get all of the degrees recognised by Australian universities so that PNG students, UPNG students, have the choice of studying PNG, studying in Australia. Every single student has that opportunity, not just the lucky few that can get Australia awards. That's open to every UPNG student. We're not just looking at Australia. We've already started discussions with American universities, with UK universities, so that PhD students can also finish their degrees in America, also finish their degrees in the UK. That will take a little bit more time, but we start with Australian degrees. Another innovation that I will be introducing in 2026 is introducing 4 themes to every single course, every single degree. And those, we're doing that through our University Senate and subcommittees of our Senate for delivery in 2027. Those 4 themes: 1, AI. We have to introduce AI into not just every program, but every course in every program. Everyone's heard of AI, but who really knows what it is? Most of us just use AI as an improved Google, right? You want to do something, you check on Gemini, you check on Claude or Perplexity or ChatGPT. We just use it as an enhanced Google. AI will change the world, and we need to be there to change the world for us, so that we are the masters of AI, AI is not the master of us. So we'll be introducing AI to every single course. AI didn't exist 5 years ago. No one was talking about it. This is how fast we're changing. The second theme, or the fourth, is technology. We are living in Industry 4.0. Our technology is changing at a rapid pace. We are changing our education from content, from knowledge, to wisdom. In the olden days, you were taught content. But now that content is in your pocket. That content, everybody has that content. It's called Google. You can ask Mr. Google any question about the Krebs cycle, about nuclear physics, quantum theory, and Google has the answer. You don't have to go to a classroom to get that content. What we have to do in education, and this is a challenge, not just faced by UKNG, it's faced by every university across the world. We have to move from content, delivering content, to delivering wisdom, so that we can evaluate that content. We can evaluate the difference between information, disinformation, and misinformation. We are overwhelmed by content. So we have to use technology to help us evaluate that information, so that we can transform content into wisdom. The third theme is research, critical thinking skills. And I've touched on this before with technology. We are overwhelmed with information. How do we do good research? How do we ask a good research question? Because if you don't ask a good question, you won't get a good answer. So how do we ask the right questions? How do we make sure that the information we get back is going to be useful? So we're introducing research, critical thinking skills, analysis of papers, analysis of abstracts. What are the criticisms of papers? How would you read a paper differently? To use your faculties, to use your critical thinking skills to create new knowledge, to create new wisdom. And the fourth theme in every single course is going to be soft skills. Because universities don't teach soft skills. And your degree, your science degree, will get you your first job. But soft skills will get you the promotion. And I want all of our students to get promoted. We know that the best training provides the best students. The best students provide the best graduates. The best graduates get the best jobs. And the best jobs have the highest salaries. And I want all of you to get the best salaries and get the best promotions. But you cannot do that if you don't have basic soft skills. Basic soft skills include leadership, include teamwork, include how to write a report, how to communicate effectively with influence and persuasion. Those are the skills, not your degree, those are the skills that will get you promoted. We also want to introduce skills such as how to write a CV. I have seen hundreds, thousands of CVs. And most of them will go straight in the bin because they're boring. They say the same thing. 200 graduates all graduate Bachelor of Science. 200 graduates all have interests. Reading, right? All identical. How do I choose the best graduates from 200 identical CVs? Can't. So CVs have to be individualized. You have to sell yourself. This is your opportunity to shine with your CV. Because your CV, if you have a poor CV, it won't get any further than the waste paper basket. You need to have a good CV. People talk about first impressions times. Your CV is your first impression. Your CV will go in front of a recruiter, a hirer, an employer. Your CV is not good, straight to down, because there's 200 other people wanting the same job. So you have to think about your CV. And I would advise everyone, when you're looking for a job, especially looking for your first job, have 6 things in your CV. 3 personal things and 3 professional things. 3 personal things that you're proud of. For example, you may be a fantastic netball player. You may be a fantastic chess player. You may be a fantastic football player. You may be a local church leader. You may be a leader of some society. Have 3 personal things and 3 professional things. 3 professional things might be that you were a leader of a student society. You were talking to your class in geology, biology, physics. You have a letter of commendation from the Vice Chancellor because you've done some fantastic event. So when you're writing your CV, think about those 6 things. 3 personal, 3 professional. So when someone looks at your CV, yep, this candidate can contribute to my company. This candidate is a real person with real interest, real values, real skills that I can use. So I would encourage everyone to think about those 6 things for their CV, especially for your first job. For your second, third, fourth jobs, yes, they're still very important, but then you start to attract experience. You can talk about the previous job. You can talk about the skills that you had to be successful in your first job. But to get that first job, how do I know you're any good? What makes you special? Why should I give you the job and not any of the other 200 that are waiting? So you have to make your CV special, especially for that first job. So the 4th theme is we'll also be teaching CV writing skills. But not just CV writing skills, interview skills. How do you dress when you go for an interview? What are the answers to the interview questions? What answers are the interviewers looking for? How do you ask questions in your follow-up? If you just walk into a CV, into an interview, and I've seen this, an interviewer says, tell us why you want to work for UPMG. And the candidate says, well, I have free accommodation, I have a salary, and I get lots of holidays. Why should I employ you? I want to know what you can give to my company, not what my company can give to you. So you need to be thinking about, anytime you go for an interview, what can you contribute to the company? And you have to tell them. Then tell them again. And then tell them again. And then tell them again. So they know that they're going to be someone who's committed, someone who's skilled, is going to be an asset to the company. Not just someone who's coming in and is looking for more holidays and a big fat salary. So these are the types of things that you need to be thinking about, especially for your first job. So we will be introducing those 4 themes into every single course, every single program in the UPMG. Science Foundation Year. At the moment, our Science Foundation Year tries to do two things. One, provide students who want to be doctors, who want to work in the health field. Secondly, students who want to be scientists. The problem is that the Science Foundation Year is spread too thinly, and it fails our health students and it fails our science students because it is just spread too thinly, and we have very, very high attrition. Students just drop out because it's too thin. So I'm sure you all know that the School of Medicine and Health Sciences will be split off, and it will become the University of Medicine and Health Sciences. And they're developing their own medical foundation year. So for any student who wants to do medicine or health, will do a medical foundation year for 2027. Any student who wants to do science will do a science foundation year. And what that means in our science foundation year, we don't have to have the health topics, because anyone who wants to do health can go and do a medical foundation year. So we can remove those health topics and introduce more science topics. Spend more time doing maths. Spend more time in chemistry, physics. More time spent on doing the difficult subjects. Everybody finds chemistry difficult, everybody finds maths difficult. So rather than just trying to do it washed in a few weeks, we can now expand out and make sure that all of our students get the STEM support that they need in a dedicated Science Foundation program for science students. So that's coming in 2027. I've already had discussions with Professor Sarley, and I'm sorry he wasn't here today, about modernising our curricula. At the moment, we have Bachelor of Science in Maths, Biology, Chemistry, Physics, Earth Sciences. Those topics went out in the 1970s. We have to modernise our curricula. You have to have things like biotechnology, environmental sciences, molecular diagnostic. You know, there's a whole range of specific science programs that we have to have, rather than having these generic, very old-fashioned degrees. Because that makes us competitive. The first time an employer will say, oh, you have a Bachelor of Science, even a Bachelor of Science in Chemistry, what type of chemistry did you do? How is that chemistry important for my company? It might be, you know, you get to be inorganic chemistry, or chemistry, or organic chemistry, maybe biotechnology. It might be environmental sustainability. We have to modernise our curricula. Look to Australia, look to international universities, and see what degrees that they offer. We also know that, and this is from Australian data, that 80% of the jobs that Australia needs, and Australia is not an outlier, 80% of jobs that successful countries need are in STEM. Science, technology, engineering, and maths. 80%. 80. So these are huge opportunities for scientists. Most countries generate less than 10% STEM graduates. So those STEM graduates, 10% are filling, in the future, 80% of new jobs. So we have to make sure that our curricula, our subjects, our units, our courses, our programs are ready for that future, that 80% future. We also have to talk to industry and make sure that we are delivering content, we are delivering wisdom, we are delivering the needs the industry needs, not just for now, but for the next 5 years, the next 10 years. There's no point delivering content from yesterday. There's no point delivering content for the last 20 years, because that technology is obsolete. There's no point teaching you how to use a fax machine when everyone's using email. Right? We have to look to the future. We have to look what do companies need, what does the government need 5 to 10 years' time? Because by the time you graduate, it's going to be in 5 years' time, 10 years' time. You're going to be getting those jobs. So we have to be talking to industry and making sure that our curricula reflects the needs of employers. It's not just the needs of employers. We have to make sure that our curricula is flexible and adaptable, because we know the jobs are changing very, very quickly. There's no point in giving you a specialised degree if there's no jobs. No point in giving you a specialised degree and a topic that was obsolete 20 years ago. We have to give you the flexibility and adaptability, the general knowledge, the general wisdom, to be able to adapt, to be able to evolve, because the job market is evolving very, very quickly. And if you want to be successful, you have to evolve. If you don't evolve, you'll be a dinosaur. And look what happened to the dinosaurs. They couldn't evolve.
Extinct.
No jobs. You just die down. If you can't adapt, you're dead. It really is adapt or die. You have to have the skills, the soft skills, the genetic skills that can adapt to all the new changes that the future is going to bring us. And we have to make sure that our curriculum reflects that. So we have to modernise our curricula, not just for today, but for the next 5, 10 years. I know that we have a lot of students who are struggling with fees, struggling with paying their tuition. I get 30, 40, 50 letters every week from students struggling with their fees. But UPNG has the cheapest degree in the whole of Papua New Guinea. Our degree is about 3,800. Unitec, 12,000. Australia, 100,000. So if we can create international degrees of the standard of Australia, you are getting an internationally accredited, recognised degree for 3,800 kina instead of 100,000 kina. That's a bargain. The quality is expensive. One of the hardest jobs that I have as Vice Chancellor is trying to balance increasing quality. And increasing quality is very expensive. We're going to be introducing online learning, we're going to be introducing flipped learning, we're going to be introducing outcome-based learning that all the modern universities have adopted. We have to invest in our science labs, we have to invest in our humanities labs, we have to invest in our campus. That costs money. So I have to balance investing in our future, not just UPNG's future, but PNG's future. So I have to balance that with keeping our university fees as low as possible, because I know many students are challenged with paying their fees. And this is probably one of the hardest jobs that I have. I want to keep fees as low as possible for everybody. But I also, on the other hand, want to give everybody the best possible quality and the best possible job opportunities. It's a very, very difficult challenge to balance. please know that I know the challenges that we have. I know how difficult it is to pay tuition fees. But I also know that if UPNG is to have a future, if our graduates are to have a future, we need to improve quality. So I have to balance quality versus course fees. And UPNG is the cheapest university by far. Not even close. 3,800 versus 12,000 at Unitech. 26,000 AAU, 21,000 at Divine Word. So 3,800 versus 12,000. Right? And we're the national university. We're supposed to be the best university in PNG. And we're the lowest priced university. UPNG 3,800, Unitech 12,000, the same degree in Australia, 100,000 Kina. So 3,800 versus 100,000. Internationalization. You cannot just think about PNG. PNG, frankly, doesn't have the skills, the expertise to be a leading nation in the Pacific or in the world. It just doesn't have the skills yet. We have to change that. We have to follow the China model. Look back to China. Who was China 60, 70 years ago? It was a country that could be invaded by Japan. It was an arable, sustainable country. Look at where China is now. The second strongest nation on the planet. And what did China do? How did China achieve that? The major thing that China did was to send its young students abroad. To the UK, to Europe, to America. To learn skills, to learn expertise, to gain knowledge, to gain wisdom. And then in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, 20 years' time, those students took those skills, that expertise, and brought it back to China. So now China is a very educated population, educated in Australia, Europe, and America. So we've got those skills back. So we have to think internationally. We have to send our brightest and best overseas to gain overseas knowledge, overseas wisdom, overseas expertise. Bring it back to PNG so that PNG can grow. I was very, very proud of my university in Cambodia that we sent more than a third of our entire student population abroad every year. Every single year, we sent a third of our students abroad. Yes, of course, it's much easier because Cambodia would send them to Vietnam, to Thailand. They could just get on the bus. Much harder than PNG because we have to fly somewhere. But we have to have those international exchanges. So, over 2026, 2027, I'll be developing processes to try and increase the number of international exchanges, international visits, cross-collaboration so that we can send students abroad, just like the QUT MOU sends students to Australia, so that all of our students can get an international experience. What I want to do is build a brand new future for funding. We have to invest in UPNG if we want a future for Papua New Guinea. And I'm here to help us do that. President talked earlier about customers and degrees for 2026. I'm also very proud to announce that in 2026, for this year's graduation in April, we will have brand new degrees. We will have degrees that are fraud-proof. They will incorporate a number of anti-fraud measures into the testimony. We have recognised that about 30% of the students that want to come to UPNG have fake qualifications. 30% have got fake qualifications. And we want to make sure that when you go to your employer, when you go for your first job, you can present a UPNG testament, a UPNG degree certificate that cannot be faked, so that your employers can trust that you have earned your degree. And it's not just a degree that is printed off in the local market, so they can trust you. You get credibility because you have a fake-proof degree. So we're introducing those brand new testaments for this year's graduation. I will also explore the possibility of including the specialisation in our degrees. I didn't realise that we didn't do that. Let me investigate to see if we can put our specialisation onto our degrees, so that graduates will no longer just have a Bachelor of Science, they will have a Bachelor of Science Chemistry, Bachelor of Science Biology, I'm going to promise that I can do that for 2026, but let me investigate and see if we can. Rome wasn't built in a day. I've been here 6 months. So please support me. It's going to be some challenging things ahead as we are improving. We have many people, staff and students, that are asleep. It's time to wake up. It's time to wake up to smell the roses. The incredible opportunities that we have in PNG, and wake up to grasp those opportunities with your own hands, rather than sitting back and waiting for opportunities to come. I also have a saying that when you're the best, opportunities come to you. You don't have to go and look for opportunities. Do you think that Harvard and Yale, Caltech, MIT advertise for students, advertise for research, advertise for collaboration? No. Their marketing departments are tiny. Because when you're the best, people come to you. They want to work with you. Everybody wants to be part of success. So what we have to do, we have to be the best. And then opportunities will come. That's what I'm here for. I talked about a Science Foundation here. The Science Foundation will improve the time and content that we spend on maths, chemistry and STEM, so that our students have much better opportunities. At the moment, we have about half our students failing, 50%. What does that mean? That means that for every single student that fails, that student has to go back and tell their parents that they're a failure. That student has to go back and tell the village that they're a failure, they're a university failure. Go back and tell their parents in the village that they're useless, they're a university reject. I don't want that to happen. I don't want any student to have the mental health problems of being labelled a reject and they're only 18. I don't want that to happen. So we need to increase our retention rate. Our retention rate, the number of students that actually stay at UKB and finish, is about 50%. Most modern universities, up at 83–85%. My university in Cambodia, 98%. We have to do the same at UKB. We have to make sure that our programs are valued by our students. Any student who's struggling needs help, and we have to make sure that we provide that help, not just academically, emotionally, and socially. And I'm working with our student services team to make sure that we provide that support. I don't want any student going home and telling their parents they failed. We cannot do that to our next generation. So we're already developing programs for 26 and 27 to help our students achieve. Of course, there's always going to be some students that drop out. They're just not ready for university. But life events happen. They get injured, they get pregnant, they lose their parents, they have to drop out for financial reasons. You cannot save every student, but I want to save as many students as we possibly can. So we are working to improve our Science Foundation year, to increase our retention. We are working to improve our student support mechanisms. And you can talk to, I don't think there's any SRC members here, I think there's one SRC member. You can talk to them about the discussions that I'm already having with the student representative council and with the student support networks. We cannot allow students to fail. So that is a priority for 26-27. So, in closing, I've spoken too long because I don't want to just thinking about the snack boxes outside. I'd just like to leave you, these are the changes that we're making to the university. We have already achieved a lot. Just in a few months of 2026. Just imagine what we can do in 27, 28, 29, 30. We have an incredible